Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics. Today we're going to be talking about how to rig and fish a new ZMan plastic that has rapidly become a favourite in my kit, and that's the ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. So the 2.5 inch prawns is a realistic prawn profile. In fact, I think it is the best prawn profile I've ever seen in a soft plastic lure. A few tweaks through the R&D process, and I think it has come up perfectly with the design, not only fishing really well, but also rigging on a stack of different jig heads. So it can be a very versatile presentation, presented in a lot of different places for a lot of different species. So that little prawn, you can see we've got eyes and our whiskers on the front there for additional water movement and realism. That realistic prawn profile with those segments in the body. And the body we've kept a bit bulkier in the front section, tapering rapidly to that tail. What that does is it makes jig head rigging easier with that thicker front section, and then tapering rapidly to the tail gives us that tail kick. It gives us that flick and twitch and glide of a natural prawn. Legs on the side here, those tiny legs on each side of the prawn mean that when you twitch it, it moves forward easily and then it's glide. So you get that twitch and glide of a prawn, and those legs also create micro vibration and more realism as well in that profile of that prawn. So it's a beautiful looking plastic. It rigs really well. And so far I've had a few sessions on it, and every time the fish have eaten it with gusto. Like they dead set think that's a real prawn, and they eat it hard. Like they eat it nice and deep and they strike it aggressively. So brim and flatties and just general estuary species I've been targeting, but I think this will be awesome on everything from freshwater species through to estuary species, and then even inshore for snapper and that sort of thing. It's going to be a really, really nice profile. Color wise, kicked off with 15 colours in the range, so not mucking around. That's how confident we were that this was going to be an effective plastic. There's 15 colours in the range, and that covers everything from your oil family. So we've got all the oils in there, the motor oil, the midnight oil, the dirty oil and the blood oil. We'll hit those with a UV torch and show you, because they all look very different. The motor oil without any fleck, the silver fleck of the midnight oil, the dark fleck of the dirty oil, and then that bloodworm fleck in that blood oil. All very different looking, and that's why they're all in the family. So there's those UV colors. There's some more subtle UV colors like your watermelon red and your Houdini. There's some more bright flurry sort of colors, sexy penny and calico candy. And then there's your light natural colors, you know, for that real clear water fishing, like your beer run, opening night, slam shady, for when the water's really clear. You know, the fish are finicky. And then some nice dirty watercolors as well, root beer gold, new penny, pumpkin. So there's colors in that range to cover all the different water types and the different species that we're targeting. So going to be a very, very versatile option. I've got it rigged on a stack of heads here. So let's have a talk through the different heads and what hook sizes and jig heads I think will fit this plastic perfectly. So kick things off with our hidden weight system. So the hidden weight system, the weight is concealed inside the plastic. So it's a very, very natural looking presentation, and it's going to be very good in the canals, you know, around the pontoons, around boat holes, mangrove edges, any of those shallow sort of areas where you want a really slow natural fall on that prawn. And you know, sometimes you'll see those fish feeding up on the prawns on the surface, slurping those prawns. So that really lightly weighted hidden weight system is going to be deadly in those situations. So that's on a Gamakatsu black nickel chemically sharpened hook, and fits beautifully there. We have it rigged on a size 2. So in that hidden weight you can get the 2 and the 2 heavy, so you can get the light and the heavy wire hook. So that's on a size 2. Also on a size 1, it fits beautiful, and again on a 1.0. It looks really nice on a 1.0. Some of you guys I know are going to sneak it into a 2.0, but for me it rigs absolutely spectacular, looks beautiful on a 1.0. So 2, 1, 1.0, and as you rig it you'll get a feel for the hook and where the hook sits in the plastic. So these little ridges, the little segments in the plastic, make it ideal for assisting with rigging. So second groove back for the 2, about halfway between the second and third for the 1, and then that third groove back for the 1.0 I've found fits really well when you're using those Gamakatsu hooks. So that's our hidden weight system. It's going to skip beautiful, skip it up in around those pontoons, skip into those boat holes, up in the mangroves and all that sort of thing. Any of that structure, throw it up on top of the lilies, on top of the weeds and that sort of thing, and that's going to be a cool option for a really slow, natural, horizontal finesse sort of sink where you're getting them to eat on the drop. So that's the Gamakatsu in the 2, 1 and 1.0 in a hidden weight system. Same hook again in our tournament series, Headlocks Finesse, sorry. So Headlocks Finesse, same hook, we've got that Gamakatsu, and that is again going to fit with the 2, the 1 and that 1.0 again with that. Because it is that virtually, it's the same hook. So it's a Gamakatsu black nickel chemically sharpened fine wire. So we know that that hook is going to fit in there. So again, that number 2 out through the second segment, our number 1 out about halfway between the second and third slot, and then third slot for that 1.0. As you rig it, you'll get a feel for that, and it rigs really well. So there you go, it fits nice on a number 2. Step it up to a size 1. And for me, I've been fishing it a lot on that 1.0 in a 1/8 ounce, just for brim on the flats and that sort of thing, twitching it across the flats. The 1.0 has been excellent, and the fish have eaten it, no problem at all. So that's that Gamakatsu hook again, and that's a size 2, 1 and 1.0 in the TT Headlocks Finesse jig head. So that's a front weighted jig head, standard jig head with our weight at the front. So that's going to twitch up, twitch it, and it kicks pretty well, and it's going to glide really nice. You'll see in the water, as you give it a twitch and a pause, it twitches and glides beautifully. So our hidden weight and our Headlocks Finesse. And then I thought, well, there's another hook that's on the Gamma, and that is the Demons. So Demons painted heads with eyes. And I thought, oh, I don't know how that's going to be on a painted head with eyes. Do we really need it? I put them on here and they look really mean. They look really, really cool. So that's, again, because this is the Gamma hook, a 1 and a 1.0 is available in the Demons that fit those beautifully. So with that head color, you know, we've got that opportunity where we might go for a real natural head color, like the green there, or we might go for that chartreuse sort of head where we've got that UV. So again, that Houdini is sort of slightly UV as well. It's got more subtle UV than, say, a motor oil, and you've got the option of a natural head or that popping head. So the painted head does give you the opportunity to change things up a bit, mix and match. You know, you might want to use a head to match your plastic, you might want a head to contrast your plastic and just change it up a bit, make it look a little bit different. So they look really cool on there. The other thing with that Demon's head is the way that it's shaped, it catches the light very well. So you do get a bit of flash and light off that head as well when you're twitching it and flicking it around. So that's that Gamma hook as well. So again, the size 1 and the size 1.0 in that Gamma hook. So hidden weight system, 2, 1, 1.0, Headlocks Finesse, 2, 1, 1.0, and then that size 1 and size 1.0 is available in the Demons as well. So that's 3 options straight up for the prawn on that finer sort of hook for your finesse fishing, light drags, you know, soft rods, that sort of thing. Also available is the Headlocks HD. So this gives you the option to throw this finesse plastic at some big bruising fish, whether it be, you know, snapper, or whether it be big flatties, you know, big brim, trying to get them out of structure and that sort of thing, where you're wanting to fish heavier drags and heavier rods and that sort of thing. You want to step up to that heavier hook. So that's a mustard black nickel chemically sharpened hook, and that's a heavy duty hook. So again, like our Headlocks Finesse, our Headlocks HD, standard jig head with that head weight. Of course, it's got that, called a headlock because it's got that headlock keeper system that's designed to lock that ZMan plastic in place. So you'll find all of these heads that I'm talking about are built to suit ZMan plastics. They'll work with other plastics as well, but they are the perfect head for locking that ZMan plastic in place. So that Headlocks HD is on the heavy duty black nickel chemically sharpened mustard hook. And so the hook size is a little different between the mustard and the Gamma. So where we're a 2, 1 and a 1.0 in the Gamakatsu, the hook equivalent in a mustard is a 4, 2 and a 1. So slightly larger hook, that mustard hook. So in the Headlocks HD, there it is on a 4. I've also got it rigged here on a 2, and I've also got it rigged here on a 1.0. And you'll see when you line that hook up and you rig this plastic, it virtually pops out in exactly the same place as the comparative in the gamma. So our size 4 is on that second groove, our size 2 is halfway between the second and third, and our size 1 is right on that third groove. So again, makes it nice and easy when you are rigging the plastic. So that is the Headlocks HD 4, 2 and 1. Brutal stopping power if you're chasing big fish. You know, I'll confidently fish the light wire for most of the estuary stuff I do, but if I really want to go hard on fish and rip them out of structure, that Headlocks HD is a brutal hook. But it's also super sticky because it's chemically sharpened black nickel hook, so it is a good sticky hook as well. Sharing that same mustard hook is the Headlocks. So for those of you that want to Ned rig this little prawn, I reckon you'll be on a winner. It'll be great. So the Headlocks in a 1/15 ounce is a number 2. So we know number 2, fine, our number 2 mustard fits it beautifully. So 1/15 ounce in a number 2. That's going to be brilliant fishing shallow structure and that sort of thing. So weed edges, timber, any sort of structure where the fish are holding, or also yabby banks and that sort of thing, where you just want to drag and shake this plastic across the yabby banks. That 1/15 ounce number 2 in a Headlocks is going to be brilliant. And then if you want to step up to the other weights, 1/10, 1/6, 1/5 are all on a number 1 hook as well. So we know that number 1 hook is about the size of the 1.0 gamma. So it's going to fit in there beautifully as well, back on that sort of third groove. That allows us to fish that Ned rig system, that rapid stand up, flee and stand up in a heavier head for deeper water and that sort of thing. Flicking edges, fishing drains, all of that sort of thing. So that's going to be deadly on a Headlocks. Then our other option in that Headlocks HD hook is the Revlocks. So if you really want to mix things up and make something different happen, that's the Revlocks jig head. So it's an underspin style of jig head. So it's got that blade mounted underneath there. And again, it's available in a 2 and also in a 1. So that 2 and that size 1 in the Revlocks are going to fit that beautifully. And that allows you just to add some flash and vibration to that plastic. You know, when the prawns are running, I've been smacking the fish on these, and that's when the prawns aren't really running. When the prawns are running, this thing is going to be off tap. And I think that little bladed option might be cool if you're fishing the prawn deeper. Like if you're fishing it deeper in the rivers where the prawns are holding deep, there's mulloway, there's brim, there's all sorts of things eating those prawns. That little bit of flash and vibration might be a little way to make your plastic stand out from the school of prawns a little bit more and get that bite. So check out that Revlocks underspin style of jig head, and that's available with a gold blade and also a nickel, the silver blade. So a lot of people run with the theory of gold in the dirty water, low light, tannin stained water and that sort of thing, nickel in the salt, clearer water and all that sort of thing. So a lot of fresh with the gold, salt with the silver, but you can mix it up however you like. And also you can get it in the more rounded Colorado style blade, and you can also get it in the willow, longer, pointier sort of blade. So the Colorado will generally tick over a bit slower and create more lift. The willow will run a bit deeper and faster. So any of those will be fine, but that gives you that heavy duty hook again in a 2 or a 1 in that Revlocks, TT Lures Revlocks jig head. All right, our prawn can also be rigged weedless, which makes sense because a lot of times prawns are holding around structure. So they might be holding along reeds, weed, timber, mangrove edges. If you're fishing structure with the prawn, there's a few different options for rigging it weedless. And it rigs really well because of that tapering body on that prawn as well. So in our Headlocks EWG, so 1 hook size in the Headlocks EWG across the weights, 1/15 ounce, 1/10 ounce, 1/6 and 1/5 ounce, and they're on a number 1, and that is a custom hook that we had made for that Headlocks EWG. So it sits beautiful on there, it will clear, no problem when a fish strikes it, and that is on that number 1. I've just got it on a couple of different head weights here, just so you can see a couple of different head weights, and also again, the ability with that painted head to keep it really natural with like a black or a green pumpkin head, or to really UV pop it up with a chartreuse head or a orange head. So you can go for that UV if you want a little bit more pop, a bit more highlight to attract the fish, or keep it natural with that black or green pumpkin. So that's the size 1, that's a Headlocks EWG, and it rigs really nice on there. Also Chinlocks Finesse. So the Chinlocks Finesse, again, that has that locking system to hold that 10 times tough, super soft and flexible plastic in place. So you can see the head is locked into that little jig head there, that little Chinlocks, and that's a number 2. So it sits nice on a number 2. It'll clear there no problem. Being super soft and flexible, it clears weedless rigging really well. That's why it is so effective on weedless hooks, that ZMan, because it is so soft and flexible. So that's on a number 2, and it also sits really well on a number 1. I know some of you guys are going to want to squeeze a 1.0 in it. That's fine. You guys can work it out as you mess around with it. But for me, it sits so well on a number 1. It's going to clear beautifully, and the way it rigs through the tail there, the tail tucks up and sits nicely, and it pushes the body up against the hook. So it's going to be very, very weedless. Like you're going to be able to twitch that through some crazy stuff. So that's completely unweighted. So you'll be able to throw that on top of the lilies, on top of the weed, surface fish it pretty much everywhere, and just give it that twitch and pause. Fish are going to come up and nail it. So that's going to be brilliant on the brim and bass and all sorts of species. And that's unweighted on a Chinlocks Finesse in a size 2 and a size 1. And then finally, the snake locks. So we've got our head weight on the front. That's a free swinging head weight, and we can detach that hook from there. So if we want to, we can throw it around unweighted. Otherwise, we can clip it on to that snake locks Finesse head, and we get that forward weight, which is going to drop it down into the structure, and that prawn is going to float up naturally, being naturally buoyant as the ZMan is. That's going to float around beautiful. That's Laguna shrimp. That is a magic colour, that colour. So that's going to be effective. I'll fish that weedless through the weed drains and up around the mangroves and all that sort of thing, and that'll nail brim, flathead, trevally, virtually everything eats a prawn, grunter, all sorts of species are going to eat that. So again, that's our Chinlocks hook, but with our forward weight. So that's a snake locks Finesse. So that's going to fit on the size 2 and also rig perfectly on that size 1. Boom, fish bites it, clears the hook, fish is hooked up. In the meantime, you can fish it through that structure without snagging or fouling. So very, very versatile option. Hook sizes around the 4.2, 1.10, depending on the hook, is a great starting point across that TT range of jig heads. Another important thing that we don't want to forget when we are fishing soft plastics is to apply our ProCure Super Gel scent. So I always scent my plastics every 30 or so casts, or after I catch a fish, I might put a little additional scent on there as well. So with the prawns being a prawn imitation, you know, you might go with like a saltwater yabby nipper or a shrimp or inshore salt water. There's a bunch of different options, but if you've already got a scent in your kit, even if it's mullet or sardine, whatever it might be, worth putting a bit of scent on there to give that some more natural sort of flavour. It'll mask any foreign odours like fuel and sunscreen and that sort of thing, while also attracting fish and triggering strikes. And if we can get the fish to hold on for a split second longer, it gives us more opportunity to set that hook as well. So scent up your plastics as well when you're fishing. You'll find out loads more on the website as well. So if you look at ttfishing.com, you'll find rigging guides and all sorts of things on there as well, tackletactics.com.au. Heaps of rigging guides, heaps of info. And this is going to be, for me, I think, one of the best releases of soft plastics in years. I think everything eats a prawn. For me, this is the perfect prawn profile. It rigs on a great option of heads. That is going to be super deadly. So yeah, get out there, check out that little ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. We'd love to see what you guys catch on that prawns. Everything eats a prawns. All right, fish on. Cheers.